Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat helping you excel at making line graphs and charts today. So this is our next lesson in our course and let's get into it. Alright, so as usual we suggest you set the video playback speed to 1.5 speed. So if you go on the YouTube player bar down the bottom, there'll be a tools cog. Click on that and set the playback speed to either 1.5 or 1.75 and you'll find the video flows a lot better because I'm a slow talker. This is a fairly detailed lesson. We're hoping it's not going to be too long, but we will have an index timeline in the video description so that if you, for example, only want to look at comparison line graphs, you can click on that section in the index and go to there straight away. All right, so what have we got for you in this lesson? We're going to go through what are line graphs. So typical line graphs follow a line pattern like this, is looking at share trading and stock market prices, and when to use line graphs. So they're great to use for share prices, but we'll tell you what else they're good for. When not to use a line graph. So there's certain situations where you should not use a line graph and a column graph would be much better to use. When a line graph is better than a column graph, so looking at it the other way around, when you should use a line graph rather than a column graph. So you'll be able to decide between column and line which is the best to use after doing this lesson. We'll make basic line graphs first, and then we'll look at making a comparison line graph. We'll also look at how you add a picture background onto the background of your graph to make it a little bit more interesting to look at. And then we've got a line graphs challenge task for you people to check your learning. All right, so there are lesson downloads that have start spreadsheets and things like that. So for the link to the downloads, go to the video description. All right, so what are line graphs? Line graphs are used to track changes over short and long periods of time. So the key thing here is time. There needs to be time involved if you're going to do a line graph. Now, here's just an interesting example from when we were teaching mathematics at high school. That the period of growth of babies, this is weeks, so 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12, 16 weeks. For the first 16 weeks, it's a straight line pattern of growth, and each 4 weeks or each month, the baby actually grows 1 inch longer, okay? So they can measure and check babies to see if their height and weight is progressing along all right. And it actually progresses along a line graph, which happens to be a straight line. If you want to do some maths, the gradient of that is that it goes 1 inch for every 4 weeks, okay? Here's a more interesting funny graph, or another interesting funny graph. Graphjam.com is this site where you can make your own kind of, it's a bit like funny memes, you know, funny graphs. So this is, I found this graph is actually true to life, that you might have a game you have to play with your child when they're little or someone else's child. And why am I doing this? Okay, I'll play then. Nah, it's just a kid's game. Hey, I'm starting to like this game. Woo, yeah, this game's really good. Yeah, let's play the game again. All right, so this can be a good graph. This is a true thing that there's a thing called the 5-minute test. So if you're having trouble getting started on some work, the thing was, say to yourself, I'm just going to sit down and do 5 minutes work on it and see how it goes. And usually if you can just get going on something for 5 minutes, you'll actually get kind of in the rhythm and interested in it, and then you'll be able to progress and keep working on it. So the 5-minute test. So if you've got some job and you're thinking, oh no, it's going to take a whole hour, it's going to be miserable doing that job. Usually if you can just start it for 5 minutes and get going, you can get going. We better get going on this video too. So when do we use a line graph? So the horizontal axis should be in units of time. So we should have like days or weeks or months or years or something along that, a crossways horizontal axis that is in time, because line graphs are used to track things over time. So typical examples are share prices, YouTube views, and sales figures. Now here's some video views for Passy's World of ICT. If you actually get if you have a YouTube channel, you can get the YouTube app, Studio app, or the YouTube Creator app or something for your phone, and you can get stats on how many views your video is getting each day and all that sort of thing. So this is just looking at it and tracking it over sort of nearly a whole month. Now, there are days missing here, like Wednesday's missing. That was just missing in the stats for some reason. It didn't come up. And there's a site called Social Blade that also will give you YouTube stats and views and things. But the interesting thing about this line graph is that it always seems to be on a Saturday and a Sunday, like on the weekend, especially on a Saturday, the views just plummet. Like nobody's watching kind of how to do Excel graphs videos on a weekend. But during the week, they come right up. Like here we got Thursday, 728. Monday here, the start of the week, it's up to 732, going up high at the end of the week, but then crashing down again on Saturday, okay? So it seems to be maybe most of the people watching the videos are teachers or students, and they're at school from Monday to Friday, and that's when they watch the videos, or people watch them while they're at work if they're business people. I'm not sure, but that's an interesting pattern that the weekends have the big crash in views. All right, now this is another GraphJam graph we found, and I think this is another good one. So even though this isn't in units of time, it doesn't have days of the week or years in it, it is kind of time, like it's from the time you put your spoon in a bowl to the time the spoon gets into your mouth. So it is based on time, and you can see the likelihood the food will fall off if you're balancing it on your spoon. Just as you're about to put it in your mouth, it'll probably fall down right down this white shirt and stain it and ruin it. So anyway, that's just a funny one from GraphJam, and check those out. There's lots of them on the internet and they're good fun. So if there are lots of changes occurring over a period of time, then the line graph is always much better than the column graph, and we'll show you why. Okay, so for video views, as we saw, a line graph is really good because it sort of shows you when the peaks are happening and when things drop down and they're really low. So this is great for tracking changes over time, the same way they track share market prices over time and all that sort of thing. Definitely a line graph is the go. Because if you put that data into a column graph, you can see what happens. It looks like kind of one of those bars going up and down when you play music or something on a music player. It's much harder to see what's going on with the trending here as we go through the week. So much easier to use the line graph, and the line graph's so much better. So kind of if you put up a column graph like that, people would think, he's a bit stupid. That guy doesn't really know about graphs because he hasn't done the Passey's World of ICT Excel course, because you would know that a line graph for tracking a lot of changes over time is always going to be better than the column chart. So remember that. Now, when not to use the line graph, if we do not have data that's time-based, then you should not be using a line graph, basically. So here are some stats we got off the internet that had the average age of AFL, that's the Australian sort of football game we have here, for the different teams. So here are all our teams, our football teams for in Australia. And they took all the players' ages and worked out the averages here, all right? And my team, actually, Collingwood, had the highest average age of players. So we must have quite a few older players that bring that average up. And the Gold Coast team has a lot more younger players by the looks of it, because their average has been pulled down lower. Now, if you graph this in a line graph, sure, it does show the trend that Collingwood is the highest, and then you go through the teams and get to Gold Coast, which is the lowest average age. But this is not really over time, okay? You should not use that line graph. You should use a column graph instead. So here you can see the trend in the columns. They're not all over the place. Remember, we did that thing about sorting back when we did column graphs, and these have been sorted into order from the highest down to the lowest. So you would sort them first, and then a column graph is fine. And because it doesn't have time here down the bottom, that's the one you should be using, not using the line graph, okay? So that's a tip for when not to use line graphs. You've got to have some time in there, weeks, days, hours, minutes, seconds, years, all those sorts of things. So let's look at making a line graph in Excel. This is one of the simplest charts to make, or graphs to make actually. If we wanted to get just these cappuccino sales from Monday to Friday, all we have to do is select these by pushing down our mouse and colouring them in, do our insert, but this time we're going to the line graph icon, this one, and push the down arrow, and we're just using this one that shows the connector dots, line with markers, it's called, and you'll get this line graph straight away. And then you can do formatting things, which we've showed you in previous lessons and that, to make it look all nice. Now, remember, if you want to do the mocker sales, you're going to have to skip columns. You need to get this data here plus this data here. So we'll be sort of highlighting this column, and then we'll be highlighting that column. Then we'll be doing our insert line graph. Now, I'm not too sure about that, because I think, I've got a feeling we should be actually like that. We'll find out when we jump across to Excel, but I think what you should be doing is keeping the selections equal. So we'd actually select that blank one up there all the way down. Then you'd hold down your control key. Remember the CTRL key? Hold that down with your left finger down near the spacebar at the bottom there. So you could skip across and do mocker. So we just want the days of mocker, and then you get the mocker one. If you want espresso, you've got to do the days of the week first, then put down your finger on the CTRL key and highlight espresso, then you can do that. So well, let's jump across to Excel and do that. And you can do it with us, because if you go to the video descriptions, there's the lesson downloads, and you need to get the Coffee Start spreadsheet and open that up, and then we can practice making these single line graphs. All right, so here we are. We have our start spreadsheet here. And so remember, the first one we were doing was cappuccinos. So let's just check this out, because if we don't highlight that top one and we hold down our CTRL and highlight those, and then we go insert, go to the line graph icon, we want this one with the markers. See, yeah, we get all this weird stuff happening. So that was definitely the correction to make in those instructions. So the amounts have to be equal. So you just select that blank one there, and then we can hold down the, well, this one actually we don't need to hold down the control key. This was the one where we could just go like that, but we need to have all of that. Then we go insert and to our line graph here. See, if you mouse over it, it says insert line or graph area. Click on that little arrow there, and we're using this one, the third one, line with markers. So we do that, and it makes our basic graph. So let's just put that in there. Now, if we want to do another one, we can highlight these, push down the mouse and select them, then hold down the CTRL key, and we'll go across to latte and grab all the latte ones. And then we can do our insert, go across to our line graph icon and use this same one again. And then we've got our latte graph, all right? And if we want to get other ones, like we'll just hold down this and jump across, hold down the CTRL key and get, let's say, espresso, insert and line graph that one. Now, I made a mistake then. I wasn't selected on the right thing. So just go Control and Z, or use that back arrow up the top here, up the very top in that green bar at the top of your screen, and that'll just go up back. So I needed to grab this whole thing to move it across like that. All right, so we've got our basic graphs here, our line graphs, and of course we can format them and make them all look nice, but we've done that in previous lessons. So that's probably enough to show you just how to make a single line graph so you can track one item over time. All right, so that's single line graphs. All right, so single line graphs done. Now, comparison graphs. We can also compare changes over the same time period for more than one item. So what we can do is we can highlight all of this. No, we won't highlight all of that, I don't think. We will do this, and we will make this one here, all right? So where we've got all of those, remember that was the latte one sort of going downhill. So instead of having 4 separate ones for each one, what we will do is we will put them all on the one graph so that we can compare them directly. So rather than having, we'll have that. And then we'll also graph, highlight this and highlight this, and then we can make a coffee totals as well. So we can also just get the total coffees of all types sold from Monday to Friday, and then see that graph breaks down into the detail of what the different types were that was sold from Monday to Friday. All right, so we're going from the summary down to more detail and getting a comparison graph. So let's get across back to Coffee Start, actually, the same one, and work on making these graphs, these line charts. All right then, so it's the same start spreadsheet actually as we used last time. Now, to do that comparison line graph, what we do is, well, we need totals too. So what do we do first? Do we do the comparison line graph or the totals? Well, let's do the totals. Remember, totals we did in previous lesson. If we click in this box and go up while we're on the Home tab, so make sure you're on the Home tab up here on the left, and go to Auto Sum, this one up the top here, Auto Sum, and click on it. Excel will kind of use AI to guess what we need to add up, and they're the four we want to add up, so we just press Enter, and then we can be in this box and press Auto Sum and press Enter again. And then remember from previous lessons, once you've got one of these worked out, there's a little sort of box, little square in the bottom right hand corner, and you can grab that and you can drag down and it copies and transposes that formula. Okay, so there are our totals. Let's just bold them up so they look good. And now when we're doing the comparison graph, we don't want to color in the totals, because if we highlight the totals as well and we go to our comparison graph line chart here, see how it's done the totals and it's jammed it all up like this. All right, so that does not look good. Let's just delete that. What we need to select to do this comparison graph is just the 4 different coffees and all of the figures from Monday to Friday. So with your mouse, for the comparison graph, you just mouse over and get all of those selected. Then go to your Insert tab up the top. We need to pick Line Graph, and we're picking this one. Okay, and that has got us a nice graph that compares the cappuccino with the latte, with the mocha, with the espresso. Now, we did a whole lot of formatting on this. So first thing we can do is just click in that title, and we'll just have weekly coffee sales, we'll call it. And we're sort of comparing different types here by coffee type. Okay, now that looks pretty good. Now this could possibly use a label here on the side. So remember, you go to this plus here, and this has been done in previous lessons. If we click on Axis Titles, just tick Axis Titles, Axis Titles. Now down here, we don't really need a title. It's pretty obvious that's day of the week, all right? So let's just click on that one and press the delete key to delete it. But this one we do need, so you click in it, and then you have to sort of turn your head sideways. But if you backspace while you're in there, this is the number of coffees sold, because it could be a bit confusing. Like people might think, oh, that's how many dollars worth of coffee was sold. No, this is the actual kind of number of cups and mugs or whatever that was sold. All right, and we can move that across, and that's looking really good. Now, I think in the example we had this background for this. Now, the background, what did we have back in there? Actually, what were we making? Let's go back and just have a quick look at the PowerPoint. All right, so we're kind of making these different colors and coffee colors, and we're having a gray kind of gradient background by the looks of it happening there. All right, so let's go back again to Excel and work on this. All right, so here we are. So we need this kind of gray background. Right, now, let's get into it. So if we just click this, so the outside selected, we've done this sort of thing in previous lessons. You right click and go Format Chart Area. Then you need to get to your paint bucket up here. Go to Fill, and we want to make a sort of a gradient fill. Now, rather than have that blue scheme, we're just going to change these to grays. So let's make that a dark gray. Let's make this last one a much lighter gray. And let's just pull that one down, push down the mouse and pull on it and pull it underneath, and that takes it away. And we'll have this one, I guess maybe a medium gray or something like that. Okay, so that's giving us this kind of gray background. Maybe we want more of the dark one in here. All right, and now these things don't look so good in gray on gray. So if we click on those to highlight Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just go on your Home tab, and on your letter A, we're just going to change those to white so we can see them a lot better. Likewise, at the side here on this axis label, we'll get that white. We'll get this nice and white. and we'll get that one nice and sort of go for white colors on that. And all right, still not great. Now these guys down here too, we'll kind of make them white. So that's a bit better to see. It's a little bit of a problem up here with the gradient. So you can mess around with these all day. What I might do with that is we might make this top gradient a lot darker, like that. All right, so that's kind of looking all good. Now we need to change our colors. Now espresso, no, this is mocha. You can hardly see it because that has chosen gray for the mocha color. Well, that's no good, Excel. So we can just click on that line so we get it selected on its own. And then we just go to the paint bucket and to the line property. And we obviously need to change its color from gray. So kind of a mocha color might be that sort of color. This one that's espresso, this orange one, let's make that a really dark brown. Go to more colors and go to standard, and let's get a very dark brown for that. All right, and this blue one. Now blue one's cappuccino. Well, it's not blue colored, it needs to be another color. So let's just pick out a color for cappuccino, maybe that color. And latte is really milky, so let's make that a really, really kind of light version of this. So it brings up this previous color. Let's just make it a lot lighter and make it kind of a milk color like that. Okay, and that's pretty interesting, except why are our dots still blue? I'm not understanding that. Okay, it looks like we have to go to marker as well. Well, I don't remember doing this, but if we go to marker and get that marker color border, the fill for the marker, it's on blue. Oh, so we're going to have to change all of these manually to the right ones. So looks like we've got to change those markers to the color we chose, and then we'll get the right color dots. All right, so let's click on that and go Format Data Series, and let's go to Paint Bucket, and then we get the marker. All right, and the marker is not that color that we want. We want this color for the markers. All right, you need to click on it and you need to right click, and then you need to go to Format Data Point. All right, now Format Data Point, when you click on Paint Bucket, will have line and marker. All right, so the marker's the wrong color. We need it that really nice dark color we chose for the espresso. And this guy's a problem because he's got his gray dots. So if we go to the markers, yes, they are gray. We don't want them gray. We want them kind of a browny color. So let's just get them a browny color. And there we go. That's looking a lot better, except we've still got yellow dots on espresso. So let's get that nice and dark brown. Dark brown. All right, so that's pretty good. And that could be our finished chart that we've got there. Now, our chart for the totals, the other chart we need to make. Let's hope we don't have as many unforeseen difficulties. I can't believe that happened. That never happened when I was trying it out before. Anyway, not to worry, we fixed it. So we'll highlight the days a week. We'll hold down Control and grab our totals, skip across to them. Then we'll go Insert, and we just want to make the usual sort of line chart with markers like that. And then we can go to our chart design. Now we've got all sorts of different designs we can choose here. And I think the design we chose had some numbers in the middle of it. So yeah, sorry, I did that a bit quick. So there's these designs, and I can't find the one that's got the circled number values. So see there's a little down arrow here, more. So you can click this one and get more of them. So we click that. Now there is one here that I had before that had numbers in it. Okay, it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that one. It's not that one, it's not that one. Okay, it's not that one, that one, that one. Ah, that's it right there. Okay, so that's the one I like that tells us how many are sold each time. And this is our Control Z, come back. Right, not having a real good time here. Anyway, whoa. Let's go back, insert, line chart, that guy. Now we want to go to getting him in position like that. Then we're going to chart design. Of course, the one I want is not there at the moment. And it was so hard to find. But if we go more, it actually ends up over here. So that's the one we want. So what we were trying to do is just click in there and say total coffee sales each day. So this is the total coffee sales for all types of coffees for each day. Now for this one, let's go back to the PowerPoint and see what we were trying to make. I think we were trying to change it to a gradient background. We were going to make a gradient background that kind of looks like this, all right? And we're going to change the color of those lines as well. All right, so here we are, and we were changing the colors of those lines. So how you do that is you click until you've got all these dots, dots down the side that are the line color, and you go to your, this is still open. Now, what if that wasn't open? I could just right click on that and go format grid lines, and then this will open. And for the, the lines are automatic at the moment, all right? So I want a solid line, and you can see they change straight away. We've got that kind of brown color. I think we were going for some sort of blue color like that because we were changing this gradient background to be not like that, but to be, the black was in the middle. This one was kind of over here. So we kind of had black in the middle where the line is, and then each of these we kind of made shades of brown. So if you click on that one, I think that was like a dark brown, and this one was kind of a lighter brown. Brown. Like that. Now that one does not look black. Okay, so we were trying to do something like that. And of course this will need to be, go to your home tab and make that writing white maybe, and go to this one and use the letter A to make that white. And I think that was the sort of thing we had. So that's our total coffees each day, trying to kind of make this dark coffee colors on it, all right? And that is that done. So we've made the comparison graph, had a lot of trouble changing the colors of those little dots, which I'm not happy about. We figured out how to do that. And then we've made this one, and it's nice. It just shows how many were sold each day as the numbers, and that's all good. So that's done. All right, so how to add a picture background. I think this is the last thing we're doing in this lesson. So the single line graphs, they look great on a picture background. So that one we just made, instead of kind of having that brown and black gradient, what we're going to do is we're just going to put a picture in there instead and have it like this. So we got this picture, and we had this picture, one of our own pictures here that we had, and we've made it darker in Photoshop and kind of put a vignette around it and that. But you just need to find a kind of good picture, and we've blurred it a bit too, so that it wouldn't show up too big in the background. Now, how do we do that? Let's go through what the steps are. What you do is you need to click on this so that only the outside border is selected. So click carefully and make sure you've only got the outside border selected. That's step one. Step two is you right click now on that outside border, and we're going to do format chart area. So make sure you pick that one. And then step three is to get to the paint bucket and the fill, and instead of having gradient fill, which you've got at the moment, just change to picture or texture fill, and then we can press the insert button to find our picture. So we're going to have it from a file that we've got. So we're saying picture, we're clicking on from a file, and then we can just navigate around in our Windows folders, find that picture there and click the insert button, and in it goes, all right? So let's jump across to Excel and just do that right now very quickly. All right, so here's our chart with the gradient background. So remember, what we're doing is we're just right clicking and going format chart area. Now we have got the gradient there, but let's go to the picture fill and we click that and we get this kind of texture, but we don't want that. So we go picture source insert from a file. All right, then we need to navigate down in our computer to find out where we save that picture. And we've saved it here in the Excel course, and we're up to number 8, line graphs, and there is the picture. So click on that picture so it's highlighted in blue, and then click the insert button, and in it goes. And that looks really nice. Now, if you want to compare it, you can just go back to gradient fill. That's how it was with gradient fill. And if you click on picture fill, it'll go back to the picture. So I'm kind of thinking there the gradient fill versus the picture fill. I'm liking the picture a lot better for that one, okay? And that's it. That's how you add pictures in to make your line graphs look good. Now, for this one, I don't know how this would look with a picture, whether it's going to really work, because it's fairly complicated already. See, yeah, the picture, it's making it too hard to read everything, and there's way too much going on now with all the lines and that. So look, in a single line graph like that, it's good, but here we might as well just stick with the gradient fill on that, all right? All right, so the challenge task. So there's the Cyril Start spreadsheet, which you can get from the downloads, and you should have all the skills now to make these 2 charts. So we haven't graphed every single thing there, because then we'd have a zillion lines and it'd look crazy. But what we did do was highlight the headings, and then we're just doing memory and storage. So we highlighted SSD drives, this information here, down to portable storage. So it's one of those, highlight the headings, then hold down the CTRL key and just do this data inside here, and then insert your line graph, and it should come out as a comparison line graph. Then we just pick nice colors, and we've made it all sort of gradient filled as well, and put a nice little yellow border around it. Now, did we show you how to do borders? Let's just jump across to Excel very quickly. Okay, so if on this one, we wanted a bit of a border around it, make sure you clicked on the outside, and then right click and go to Format Chart Area, and this time close down that fill arrow, because we're not doing fills, and open up border, because we're doing borders. Now, it's got a very thin gray border at the moment, so let's change that to a nice bright blue. And then on width here, let's make the width a lot bigger, so it's like that. And yeah, that looks pretty good now. So we've got this nice blue border around our graph. So that's how you get a border. It's just a matter of selecting the outside, right clicking, going to Format Chart Area, make sure you're on border, pick your color. Yellow is a bit too bright, perhaps orange. Oh, orange isn't bad as well. That kind of fits in with the coffee theme, and orange goes good with blue because they're kind of complementary colors. So yeah, you could do orange as well. All right, so let's stop talking. Let's get on with this lesson and get it wrapped up. All right, so that's a challenge task. This single line graph, we showed you how to make those, and we were just looking at graphics cards. So again, we've just colored in the headings, and we've just gone down and used the CTRL key to get the graphics cards row there, and then we can track how graphics cards were selling from May through till October. So you should be able to do all of that, do business analysis, do nice comparison line graphs, do single line graphs that look really good. And if you want to get one of these fabulous iExcel at Excel t-shirts, we don't get anything from this. This is not an affiliate. We're not getting paid for this, but we just thought we'd let you know because people emailed us asking us. Microsoft Excel t-shirt. Type it into eBay. Microsoft Excel t-shirt. Get them from France or the UK. And there's also this one here. So the next steps. If you found this lesson useful, then thumbs up, like it. And the next lesson, we're going to get into comparison charts. So we've done our pie charts now, we've done columns and bars in a previous lesson. This lesson, we've just done line graphs. The next one is to actually do comparison graphs where we have side-by-side column graphs and side-by-side bar charts and things like that. All right, so subscribe to our channel so you see when that next lesson comes out. Remember, subscribe. And just before we go, that's all we need to say, actually, apart from we'll see you in the next lesson.